Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. We have a big docket for you today, so let's get to it. First, that $950 an hour you're paying your attorney just doesn't get you the attention you think that it deserves these days. People are acting surprised that the mob is back in New York, like they ever went away. The yoga teacher accused of murder demands a speedy trial. The Alex Murdaugh saga continues. Yes, the crime of introduction of contraband gone terribly wrong. In fact, it was the kiss of death. And new charges for the Wendy's employee that punched an elderly man. They're called murder charges. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, aficionados. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, hit that little bell, and remember you can listen to us anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Let's go ahead and open the docket for Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. First, that's right, $950 an hour for an attorney. That's when an event planner charged with fatally shoving a beloved Broadway singing coach on a New York City street is set to go to trial for manslaughter in October. A judge has ruled, despite objections from her pricey, high-profile defense attorney, Lauren Pazienza, who's 26, appeared in court for a brief hearing on Tuesday where Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Felicia Menon criticized her lawyer, Arthur Adelia, for doing everything he could to delay the trial. He said, quote, "I'm not ready to commit to a trial date," he protested. "There's thousands of hours of discovery we still haven't gone through." Now, Menon replied, "I'm going to give you a trial date, and you can explain to me at that time why you're ready or not ready." The judge then set an October 6th date as the trial date for Pazienza, who faces manslaughter charges in the shoving death of 87-year-old Barbara Gustern. Now, Pazienza is accused of calling Gustern a biatch before shoving her onto the ground in an unprovoked attack in Chelsea on March 10th of this year. Now, Pazienza, a former event planner from Long Island, wore a white long-sleeve t-shirt, beige pants, and a blue face mask when she appeared in court on Tuesday. She has pled not guilty to manslaughter and assault charges and has rejected a plea deal for a 15-year sentence in prison. Last month, she retained celebrity attorney Arthur Adelia, a well-known attorney for taking high-profile clients who attract harsh scrutiny from the press, and has previously represented the likes of Anthony Weiner, Harvey Weinstein, Rudolph Giuliani, Alan Dershowitz, and Roger Ailes. Now, according to a recent New York Times profile, a friend of Adele's asked him if he would take the Pazienza's family on the day that she was first identified as a suspect in Gustern's death. Pazienza's parents, Daniel and Caroline, live on Long Island, where he owns a small business servicing cesspools. They could not afford Adelia's usual $950 an hour rate, but they and Pazienza's grandparents agreed to a payment plan with the attorney that tapped their combined savings and pensions. In court, Adelia has argued that the family has little money, saying that Pazienza is not a flight risk. She is currently being held without bail on Rikers Island, a decision that Adelia blames on the intense media scrutiny for the case. Now, the 26-year-old event planner is accused of going on a wine-fueled rampage and launching an unprovoked attack on the older woman as she tried to catch a cab. She allegedly yelled at her, calling her the B word, as she pushed her to the ground, with her victim dying of her injuries 5 days later. Now, Pazienza has been celebrating the countdown to her wedding, and her fiancé, Naveen Pereira, visiting several art galleries in Chelsea. Now, the pair had 100 days to go to the big day and were anticipated to tie the knot on June 18th. Pazienza consumed several glasses of wine from numerous galleries before the couple headed to eat at Chelsea Park. The two were enjoying their food when a park employee approached them and said they needed to leave because the park was closing soon. The defendant became angry, started shouting and cursing at the park employee, threw her food onto her fiancé, and stormed out of the park. Pazienza and her fiancé took off in two different directions, with Pereira heading towards the Astoria apartment the pair shared. he told the prosecutors. Now, meanwhile, she walked towards West 28th Street near 8th Avenue, where she stumbled upon the vocal coach. The victim had finished a rehearsal nearby when Pazienza allegedly called her the B word and shoved her onto the sidewalk. Pazienza proceeded to call her fiancé after the incident and allegedly watched as an ambulance arrived to help Miss Gustern and carry her away. This is all according to the prosecutors. Prosecutors say that Pazienza didn't mention anything about her shoving Gustern to her fiancé. Instead, she started arguing with her fiancé, accusing him of ruining her night. Could you imagine? Right before they went to bed that night, the defendant finally, for the first time, turned to her fiancé and told him that she had pushed someone. She said that she thought the person had fallen and she walked away. Now, Pazienza allegedly told her fiancé she pushed Gustern because she might have said something to her, but she wasn't sure. Following the incident, Pazienza fled to her parents' house on Long Island and deleted her social media accounts and her wedding website. She was free for 11 days after the incident before turning herself in after the NYPD released photos allegedly of her pushing the old woman. She was charged with assault and manslaughter and released on a $500,000 bond until May, when a judge revoked her bail because she was determined to be a flight risk. Gustern had been a vocal coach for likes of Blondie frontwoman Debbie Harry and was remembered fondly by her family. $950 an hour. You think the guy could find the time to get ready, but I guess if that's just your regular normal hourly rate, then can't be bothered with this, and there's thousands of hours of discovery to review. Sounds like the high-priced attorney better get to work. Next, the mob is back in town. In New York, that is, like they ever left. Well, apparently some people are acting surprised after 8 alleged mobsters and a crooked Long Island cop were busted Tuesday in a wide-ranging gambling scheme that prosecutors pointed as proof that the mafia hasn't gone anywhere. Like they were surprised. Really? In an unusual alleged arraignment, the members of the Associates of the Bonanno and the Genovese crime families worked together to run a gambling operation out of the Grand Cafe in Lynbrook Coffee Bar beginning at least a decade ago, going back to May of 2012. The feds said that the 2 organized crime families also allegedly ran illegal poker games and gambling machines out of several soccer clubs in Queens, Valley Stream, and West Babylon, and out of a front called Sal's Shoes Repair in Merrick. Today's arrests demonstrate that the mafia continues to pollute our communities with illegal gambling, extortion, and violence, while using our financial system in service to their criminal schemes, said Brendan Peace, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, and the Nassau County District Attorney Ann Donnelly added, "This case is further proof that organized crime is alive and well in our communities. This indictment sends a strong message that we are committed to rooting out corruption and organized crime." The mobsters and their associates were hit with federal charges including racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy, illegal gambling, and obstruction of justice. Among those charged are Carmelo Carmine Polito, the alleged acting captain of the Genovese crime family, who was additionally charged with running an illegal online sports betting operation through a website called PGW Lines. Prosecutors allege that Polito once threatened to break a debtor's face before instructing an underling in 2019 to relay the message, "Tell him I'm going to put him under the effing bridge." Meanwhile, Nassau County Police Detective Hector Rosario is accused of arranging police raids at competing gambling dens in exchange for cash from the Bonannos. He's charged with obstructing a grand jury investigation and lying to the FBI. On Tuesday, he pled not guilty in Brooklyn and was released on a $500,000 bond, of which I'm curious if he ever had to pay any of that on a public servant's salary. Probably a PR bond. After all, he's a police officer engaging in criminal activity with the mob. What does he got to worry about? Prosecutors called the alleged dirty cop's alleged involvement in the scheme disturbing and shameful. I would say so. Now, the detective betrayed his oath of office and the honest men and women of the Nassau County Police Department when he allegedly aligned himself with criminals, according to prosecutors. 5 other men, Joseph Joe Fish Macario, Salvatore Sal the Shoemaker Rubino, Mark Fuer, Augusto Gabriel, and Anthony Little Anthony Piptone were also arrested in New York. They and Polito also pled not guilty and were released on bail ranging from $150,000 to $2 million. The alleged Bonanno soldier Vito Piptone was taken into custody in Florida on Tuesday. A ninth defendant, accused Genovese associate Joseph Joe Box Rutagelano, remains at large. Authorities allege that Rutagelano and Rubino were bagmen for the Genovese, collecting proceeds and then kicking them up to the higher-ranking members, including Polito and Maccaro. Gabrielle at times collected for the Bonannos, kicking up the cash to higher-ups in the family, including the Piptones. The defendants are due back in court on September 13th.
Like many Americans, we got a dog during the pandemic. My quarantine dog, Miss Winnie the Bulldog. Now, Miss Winnie has grown accustomed to being around us all the time. When we were leaving the house, Winnie would have extreme anxiety, so we decided to look for natural products to help with her anxiety. We looked for the highest quality CBD treats, and we were not satisfied, and neither was Winnie. So we created a high-quality CBD product that absorbs faster and provides the required results faster. Baked in Colorado CBD treats and beverage enhancers are made with nanotechnology. The nanotechnology makes the CBD extraction more pure, also allows for Baked in Colorado products to work faster. Baked in Colorado products can help reduce your pet's anxiety, ease joint pain, and help with your dog's skin problems. Go to our online store and see what Baked in Colorado product is best for your dog. When you order at bakedincolorado.com, enter code WINNIE and receive 15% off your first order. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If your dog does not experience the desired results in 30 days, return the product and we will refund your money. No questions asked.
Remember the yoga teacher accused of murder? Then she went to New Jersey, then she went to Costa Rica, and then got arrested? Well, she was back in court. Kaitlin Armstrong is her name. And her murder trial for her alleged killing of Mariah Mo Wilson is set for October. Armstrong entered a plea of not guilty, and her attorney is laying out her defense, casting doubt about the prosecution's case against her. Attorney Rick Kofer has demanded a speedy trial for Armstrong and entered multiple motions for evidence from the prosecution. The prosecution says that both sides are still waiting on evidence. Kofer has also raised questions about the police investigation and whether police ignored the possibility of another suspect. I know, right? It's just a complete coincidence. Right after the murder, where her gun is allegedly matching the murder bullet, she flees, goes to New Jersey, hangs out, uses a different name to get to Costa Rica, allegedly has plastic surgery done because somebody else did it, right? I know. What are the police thinking? They let the real guy or woman get away. We'll see how that turns out. Next, the Murdaugh saga continues. Now, Murdaugh is the focus of no fewer than 6 separate state criminal inquiries, including the double homicide, a financial crimes investigation, one that's already nested quite a few charges, 83 to be exact, a drug trafficking inquiry, an obstruction of justice probe, and investigation of a bizarre roadside shooting that took place last Labor Day. And there are also 2 other homicide investigations that allegedly have ties to the Murdaugh family and a public corruption probe linked to all of this. Oh, and don't forget the feds are probably looking at him as well. Well, the evidence against Mr. Murdaugh is in the double homicide case is said to be quite extensive and some prosecutors say overwhelming. But they were unable to let the public know what was going to take place because at Murdaugh's bond hearing, where the prosecution was going to lay out everything that took place and the planning that was involved, but Mr. Murdaugh's attorneys agreed that they were not going to contest bond because he was already in custody on a bond that he couldn't afford, so it really would have been academic. And needless to say, the prosecution wasn't able to lay out their case for us, the public. We'll have to wait and see. But the prosecutor did state that the evidence in this case is substantial, and it all comes back to Alex Murdaugh. And, well, guess what? The state has stated that they have turned over all of the evidence that they have in the Murdaugh double homicide, where Mr. Murdaugh is accused of killing his wife and son. We'll see, since there's not a gag order on that evidence, if perhaps it will make its way to the public, perhaps the press. You know, I'm not saying, but if anybody has a copy of it, if they want to Dropbox it and send it to me, I'll be more than happy to take a look at it. It's safe with me. I promise not to share it with anybody on YouTube. Well, maybe. But you can send it to me. We'll take a look at it. We'll evaluate it. In other Murdaugh news, remember Russell Laffitte? He's the banker. Well, he's been indicted on new fraud charges relating to his alleged role in the financial crimes component of this sprawling, multifaceted criminal case. Now, Laffitte, who was fired from his position as the chief executive officer of Palmetto State Bank back in January, was previously hit with a 5-count federal indictment, the first criminal charges to be filed in connection with the federal component of the ongoing investigation with the Murdaughs. Those indictments were handed down on July 20th of this year, the same day Laffitte's alleged co-conspirator Alex Murdaugh appeared in Colton County and pled not guilty to 2 murder charges. The original 5-count indictment against Laffitte included charges of bank fraud, wire fraud, misapplication of bank funds, and conspiracy to commit bank fraud and wire fraud. Now, Laffitte is also staring down multiple criminal conspiracy charges at the state level in connection with his alleged role in the Murdaugh-related financial crimes investigation, which is why reportedly Mr. Laffitte is rocking matching ankle monitors. The latest federal indictment handed down Wednesday alleges that on or about February 20th, 2015, Laffitte, being an officer, director, agent, and employee of the Palmetto State Bank, a financial institution insured by the FDIC with the intent to injure and defraud Palmetto State Bank, willfully misapplied, abstracted, and purloined money, funds, and credits entrusted to the custody and care of the Palmetto State Bank. Specifically, it's alleged that Laffitte caused Palmetto State Bank to fund a $500,000 line of credit to a bank customer for farming, and thereafter issued a $284,787.52 cashier's check, knowing the loan proceeds would be and were used for other purposes, namely to pay off loans previously extended from HP's conservatorship account. This is apparently in reference to the conservatorship of Hannah Plyer, one of the alleged victims of the Murdaugh-related financial fleecings. It would appear down there in the low country of South Carolina, and I mean the low country, which is along the coast by the coastal barrier islands, everybody appeared to be getting a piece of the action, which is why it appears this corruption may have been going on for so long with so many involved, because everyone seemed to think that they were never going to have any problems. Guess that's what happens when your family has run the prosecutor's office for over 80 years. Everyone starts to believe that they become untouchable. Next on the docket, introduction of contraband. An introduction of contraband case is probably one of the dumbest cases people do. I've represented many people over the years for this. I've even represented sheriffs that engaged in such conduct, making a few extra bucks with a little side hustle in the jail. But they usually get caught. Now, clearly a lot of drugs and other things go into jail that shouldn't be there, with a lot of people turning a blind eye to what takes place. But take a listen to this story. A woman has been charged with murder following a kiss while visiting a man in jail who died a short while later. Now, Rachel Dollard was visiting inmate Joshua Brown, who's serving an 11-year sentence on drug-related charges at the Turney Center Industrial Complex Prison in Only, Tennessee, back in February. Now, during the visitation, the pair was seen kissing, which was how Dollard passed Brown a balloon pellet containing half an ounce of methamphetamine. This is all according to the Tennessee Department of Corrections. Brown then allegedly swallowed the pellet. You can guess what happened next. That's right. He died a short while later at a local hospital because the bag is thought to have opened in his stomach and flooded his system massive and fatal dose of methamphetamine. His sentence was due to expire in 2029. Now, the Tennessee Department of Corrections special agents and the Dixon County Sheriff's Department took Rachel Dollard into custody this weekend on a warrant on a sealed indictment there in Hickman County, Tennessee. She's been charged with second-degree murder of the death of Brown and introduction of contraband into a penal facility. Yeah, don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. But the thing that's really weird is we have cases here, and our office just finished one, where the person who introduced the contraband, the prosecutor wanted the person to go to prison. The person that received the contraband, that convinced the person to try to get the drugs into the prison facility, got a concurrent sentence with his prison sentence he's already serving. So he basically got a free pass. So it took a lot of work to keep our client out of custody. But they take that very, very seriously for obvious reasons. Next on the docket, remember the story we brought you about the Wendy's employee that punched the elderly customer? Well, guess what? New charges. Why, you may ask? Well, because the man died. The employee has obviously been arrested. Antone Kendrick was arrested and faces charges of second-degree murder after authorities say he punched a 67-year-old at a Wendy's located in Prescott Valley last month, and he has since died. The incident took place around 4:45 p.m. on July 26 when the older man entered the restaurant where Kendrick was working. After receiving his food, surveillance video showed the unidentified man returning to the counter to complain about his food order when Kendrick walked from behind the counter and punched the unsuspecting 67-year-old man. Authorities say that the strike caused the older man to collapse to the floor and lose consciousness, and the 67-year-old man was then airlifted to the hospital and remained in critical condition for 10 days, and he passed away. That's right. Now, I'm not saying that the former employee of Wendy's should have done something, but if I was his attorney, Mr. Kendrick's attorney, I would have got him into court immediately and plead him guilty to whatever charges that there may have been pending against him. Why? Well, get in there before the person passes away. I once had a terrible head-stomping case where the man was literally in a vegetative state, could have passed away at any time, and we got that thing wrapped up. Thank God it was wrapped up before the family decided to basically take him off life support. Otherwise, it would have been a murder case. So, Mr. Kendrick, you missed the boat on that one. But maybe it's called karma. That's kind of what happens when you hit old men when they're not expecting it and they hit their head and die. Finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Please meet Laura McCulloch. She's apparently an actress from Australia, and she was reported missing in Los Angeles by her family. She was believed to have gone on a Bumble or Tinder date on August 12th and had not been seen. Well, guess what? It turned out that Miss McCulloch wasn't missing, as her family thought. She had been arrested in Santa Monica for allegedly throwing a drink at a child and their parents. Classy dame, I'm telling you. So in a statement from the Santa Monica Police Department, they say that on Friday, August 12, 2022, at approximately 8:30 p.m., Santa Monica police officers were dispatched to the 200 block of Arizona for what was reported as a battery. According to the reporting party, a female named Laura McCulloch threw a drink at a restaurant patron and their 2-year-old child. Upon arrival, officers contacted Miss McCulloch, who showed obvious signs of intoxication. You think? I guess that date didn't go so well. While conducting the investigation, Miss McCulloch charged at the officers while yelling expletives. Despite efforts to calm her down, Miss McCulloch continued to display aggressive behaviors. During efforts to detain her, she became physically combative, kicked at officers, and bit one of the officers on the shoulders. Like I said, Miss McCulloch, she's 37. She's from Australia. She was arrested, transported to Santa Monica jail, and booked for public intoxication and resisting arrest. Wow. Well, I guess it was good that she notified her family that she was going on a Bumble Tinder date, because you never know who you're going to go find there, unless, of course, you have CrimeTalkSearch.com. If you go there, you could find out who you're meeting on those Bumble and Tinder dates. I'm telling you, it's dating malpractice if you do not do that. Maybe Miss McCulloch was a little disappointed by her Bumble Tinder date person. Maybe she was catfished, I guess. Maybe that's why she drank so heavily. Or maybe she was already drunk and the guy left. But either way, it doesn't really matter. What she did was dumb. And once again, it involved people getting drunk. And just like the story before the last, it involved food. People, control your food and beverage intake. I'm telling you, it solve a lot of the world's problems. All right, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.